Welcome to the Trial Bible, where we break down the secrets of courtroom victories with the best trial attorneys across the country. Each episode will sit down to explore their recent winning verdicts, the key pattern jury instruction charge that made the difference, and the tools they use to hit big. Let's go.
Welcome to Trial Bible, the podcast for trial lawyers who want to sharpen their skills, learn from real-world experience, and win in the courtroom. I'm Rita, one of the producers for this show, and in this special kickoff episode, I'm going to turn the mic to the man behind it all, your actual host, Gennady. Gennady, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I am so excited to be part of this project for you. And before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the show, learning more about you, these how-to episodes are really kind of the theme for what we're doing on this show. We want to give actual tangible education and best practices. But let's get the audience to know you a bit better and understand your background. Who are you? Why you want to do this podcast, and your story at what got you to this point. So if you're ready, we can get right into it. Sound good?
That sounds good to me.
For anyone listening for the first time, or any person that meets you for the first time, who is Gennady Voldz? Very, very formal name and law firm. Love that. And what drew you personally into trial law?
I'm Gennady. It's a very unusual name. A lot of people have trouble saying it, but I say it multiple times to people until they get it. And then once they get it, they get it. So it's Gennady.
Do you have to do a little bit of this hand motion after when you say it too? Like the Gennady, that helps you remember.
You know what? Most people think it's an Italian name, so
Yes.
you think the hand motion goes with it.
Is it not Italian?
It's not an Italian name, actually.
Okay.
It's a Russian name,
Okay.
and that's a perfect segue to who I am. I'm a kid from Russia, from the former Soviet Union, Ukraine, that came over to this country with my entire family all at once when I was a little kid, and we were just all looking for a better life than what we had over there, and no pressure on me, but I was the baby. And, everything that we did, my family likes to remind me, it's all for me. So
Yes.
my goal has been throughout this journey that I've had on this world is to create a better life, not just for me, for my family, for the future generations to come. And it's a lot of pressure, but I feel like I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to navigate to get to the point where I'm at. And I think a lot of it stems on focusing on what you're good at. And I
Right.
think people that are successful constantly have to say that to themselves. What am I good at? That's what I'm going to do. And that's what brought me into trial law. I knew going into law school that one of my best assets was public speaking, and was the ability to connect with people on an emotional quotient level, and to have a very high IQ is very important. And knowing my assets, I also knew what I wasn't good at. And it was a lot of the other stuff that lawyers do that are not trial lawyers. And so I've really focused on my skills. And I think that's what really brought me into this world of being able to help people that cannot help themselves, that are stuck in situations where they're either hurt or anything else that you need a lawyer for. And they need someone that doesn't just have the IQ, but has the EQ to be able to win for them. And that's what really brought me into this world.
I really love how you tied in your personal, motives for why you wanted to start trial law. And I think EQ would be a really great topic to discuss on your show, as well as you interview and educate your audience about what really it takes to do well in court. But speaking of, having that emotional connection, I'm sure as you've helped people and made an impact, there's probably been one case or one moment in your experience that kind of shaped your approach in the courtroom, or maybe it made an impact. So what was that moment for you?
Really difficult to answer.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. There's every single trial I've walked away from, you learn something so valuable. That's really the point of this whole show, and why thousands of people have said it before me. I'm not the first, but that's why it's called practicing law. It's not something that you master. You continue to practice it. And I've had so many different cases that have taught me so many different, really valuable things. But one case that comes to mind is a case that I co-counseled with a legend in our field, which is Keith Mitnick. And specifically in that case, watching him do the jury selection, I feel like I unlocked the secret to really being able to find the right people that will help you.
Wow.
And that was a pivotal moment for me in my career, to be able to see a master do it, to do it with him by his side. And, we obviously won. And that'll certainly be an episode that we see here on the show.
Yeah, we probably will have to get into that topic, especially since it seems like it was so impactful for you. And it probably was a high point moment, right? So I think something else important to talk about are the not so fun parts of being an attorney, the difficult times, because there are some for sure. Was there ever a time where you actually questioned whether this path of being a lawyer was worth it? And if you have, like, what kind of pulled you through to say, okay, yeah, this is worth it. This is what I meant to do. We're going to keep going for this.
The beauty and downside to what it is that we do as trial attorneys is we ride a roller coaster of really high highs and really low lows.
Right.
And you kind of have to hit all of it in between to really truly appreciate it. And you have to love it in order to go through that kind of roller coaster as a profession. So the losses, they hurt immensely, and I'm still learning how to deal with them. But the truth is, you learn so much. I would argue you would learn so much more from a loss than you do from a win. And you remember the losses much more than you remember the wins. COVID was the most difficult point in my career. I had just started my practice. I was
Oh,
a year.
you started during that time?
I
Wow.
started in 2019, was my first full year
Yeah.
of being trial counsel for other firms. And I had a phenomenal first year. And then COVID hit and everything shut down. And we really had no idea, not just me, I was speaking to a lot of other trial attorneys. We had no idea what was going to happen next, what the future of our business was going to look like, whether it was going to be virtual court or anything else.
Right.
And at that point, you start thinking, what do I do? No one's coming in for jury selection and their cases are not moving. So that was a really difficult point in my career. But we all made it through.
Yeah.
And I would argue now that COVID was some of the best time for me. I got to spend a lot of time with my children when they were young.
Aw.
And I think people now have a really different understanding and a better understanding of loss of enjoyment of life after COVID. And I think the verdicts have been a signal of that post-COVID era.
Wow. So you pulled through because you're still here and we're in this podcast, which is amazing. And it's really cool to hear that you have had experiences through those highs and lows that maybe you're really trying to empower and educate other attorneys on. So let's get a little bit more in detail as to really what's truly motivating you to start the podcast, our show, Trial Bible, and more importantly, why now? Why not later? Why not yesterday? What's the kind of pivotal moment that's just sparking this conversation in this show for you?
Trial Bible, I think, is essential for anyone that's a trial attorney. And I wouldn't have the success that I've had if it wasn't for two things. One is this book right here, The Pattern Jury Instructions, which is what Trial Bible is really about, and your knowledge of that before you go into a case. And the second part is conversations with other trial attorneys. If I wasn't able to bounce ideas and concepts off of my buddies who are trial attorneys, I wouldn't have the success that I have. And I searched for something like this, where it's just a bunch of trial lawyers talking to each other and just giving some insight on whether
Right.
it's a case that you're currently doing or a case that you just did. This is not a profession where you need to start from zero. This is something that we are all learning from each other, and we're really all lifting each other up. So I figured now is the best time to do it, because this is going to help everyone that either listens, that's involved. It never hurts to speak to another trial attorney about anything.
Right.
So I'm very excited. This is really a passion project for me. And I think now is the time to do it.
I would agree. Now is definitely the time. I love to hear that you're pursuing this passion project, because sometimes what happens when we pursue our passion projects is it can open up the opportunity to network or connect, or something else that can benefit everyone involved with the show. And speaking of that, while it is a passion project now, and 3 years from now, if you were to, paint a magical picture or invite a wizard to grant whatever wish you wanted, what would be the impact that you would hope this podcast has? And who specifically are you hoping it helps?
So I'm going to segue with something that I used to do when I was in college.
Okay.
And I'll explain kind of along the way. I used to love to be an actor, or just anything in acting. I loved being on stage. I loved performing. And I had a class in college where we put on a show called Swallow This
Really?
for other college students. And it was about swallowing this information about alcohol, drugs, and very serious issues, where college kids would send in their story. And we would turn it into a funny skit, but at the end of the day and at the end of the show, we would have very real conversations. It was an extremely powerful project that I was a part of. And my cast and my teacher, we did it. We started touring amongst a ton of colleges and high schools. We always said to each other at the end, if that one show just helped one person in the audience, then that show was worth it. That's what this is about. If any of this show just helps one trial attorney achieve one better result for their client, then this whole podcast was worth it for me. So the goal is to have conversations, and it helps everyone that's listening. It helps everyone that's a part of it. And you never know when you're going to hear a gem that can help you, but it's really meant for other attorneys, other trial attorneys that are at war with,
Right.
For their clients, on behalf of their clients. That's what this is about.
Wow. It sounds like we have a lot to cover on this show. This is just the beginning, and I'm glad we got to give everyone a taste into a little bit of what it's going to be about, and then get to know you better as well. So that's pretty much a wrap for our small intro to Trial Bible. We call it episode 0 because episode 1 is about to come up, where Gennady will take back the mic and be the host of his show. And the show is about helping trial lawyers like you get better, one story, one strategy, and one episode at a time. So for anyone listening, make sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss that first official episode where he steps up to the mic, and in our case, the bench. It could be called that way too. And we thank you all for being here at the beginning, and we'll see you in podcast court.
Thank you. That's a wrap for this episode of The Trial Bible. We hope you've gained some valuable insights. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review so you never miss an episode packed with winning tactics and expert advice. Thanks for tuning in.